infrastructure is not top tier. It's like a band-aid on a broken arm. It is a big deal, but for now, it's a wild, wild west. It's dangerous and lacks regulation. Frustrating and likely to leave a mess. That's gonna impact the tourism industry. It's a default setting. It's a lot of cash. Well, you've heard that US runs on Dunkin'. Well, Vietnam runs on plastic and not in a cute commercial way. Case in point, my breakfast. So in order to pack some muscle, I have in my breakfast a banana that is wrapped in plastic. I also have, only in Vietnam that I've seen, an egg. Every single individual egg is wrapped in plastic, as if the shell was not enough to protect the egg. Just more plastic. Then, of course, I gotta have my drinks. So I have my Tepi orange juice inside a plastic cap and a plastic bottle. I have my noodles as well, which is wrapped in plastic. And to top it off, utensils are also plastic and others possible glass wrap, right? And to top it off, I get all of this in a nice, big, ripped plastic bag. And of course, I have to have a little bit of what is called my soup as well, which is in plastic cap, plastic container, plastic bag, of course, the plastic spoon. Of course, I have to have my coffee as well, café sedan in the morning. It is in a plastic cup. And to top it off, a plastic straw as well. So I'm actually sitting here right in the streets. It's actually a great way to have breakfast. You have a plastic chair. As you can see, just a little bit of breakfast in the morning, you're already inundated with all this plastic. Unfortunately, that is the way that Vietnam is. Yep, and it's only 8 a.m. in the morning for breakfast, and that's 100% plastic, baby. Even the Vietnamese helmets for the bikes are also made of plastic. So welcome to Vietnam, folks, where plastic is pretty much its own food group. It's cheaper than water, more abundant than traffic, and it's on a mission to wrap anything that's still long enough. But is that the problem? Let's talk about why Vietnam is drowning in plastic and what the future holds. If you've ever scrolled down one of the bustling Vietnamese streets, then you'll probably see many of the food stalls, the chaotic traffic, and a sea of plastic swirling around like a confetti at a chaotic birthday party. In 2024, Vietnam's plastic consumption reached a level of 54 kilos per person per year. It sounds like not a lot, but when you actually multiply 54 kilos to the 100 million citizens, that's like wrapping the entire country in a giant cling film. For perspective, there are some countries that have more or less than Vietnam. For example, Japan has a more total usage of plastic than Vietnam, but they have a very complex and elaborate waste management system. While Vietnam is trying to figure out where do we throw all this plastic. And the current strategy has been anywhere there is an empty space. Rivers, streets, beaches. No wonder the environment is screaming for mercy. So how did we get here? Is the plastic fairy godmother sprinkling plastic dust all over the nation? Not quite. But here are the three big reasons. Number one, economic boom and urbanization. Vietnam's GDP has been growing for many years, 6 to 7% per year. That means more money equals more consumer goods, equals more packaging, equals more plastic. Simple math, right? Meanwhile, 40% of the population live in the cities, and city dwellers usually go with a grab and go type of meals. And what do those meals come in? Single-use plastics. Number two, cultural and social behaviors. It's not just about convenience, it's also cultural. Street food is the heartbeat of Vietnam. Whether it's a steaming bowl of pho or a banh mi to go, sellers wrap them in plastic for portability. It's easy, it's cheap, and who wants to lug around a portable reusable container when plastic is handed out like candy? The third reason, systemic gaps. Biodegradable alternatives, they exist, but they are pricier and harder to find. And the average consumer will always choose the wallet-friendly alternative. Not to mention, 70% of the waste is mismanaged because the waste management infrastructure is not top tier. No robust recycling system means that the waste piles up in the landfills, or even worse, in the rivers. Basically, plastic is the default setting. Change is coming, but for now, it's a wild, wild west of packaging. Okay, you might be thinking, a lot of plastic, big deal. It is a big deal, and let's break it down. Number one, public health risks, microplastics. These are the plastics you cannot see without a microscope. They come from larger plastics that are broken down over time, or even from the fibers in our laundry. Then they go into the rivers, soil, and oceans, and eventually they'll end up in our food and water. Recent studies have shown that on average, a person will consume roughly a credit card's worth of plastic within a week, depending on their dietary habits and water sources. Bon appetit, right? They sneak into our bodies through contaminated seafood, bottled water, or even the air. Scientists are studying the exact health impacts, but early findings are showing it's probably not the best to have plastics floating around our organs. Studies in the Mekong Delta have found microplastics in the water and also in the seafood. Although I really love my Vietnamese seafood, but I want some extra chili, not extra microplastics. Open burning toxins. In many rural areas, plastics are burned in open piles, which release toxins like dioxin in the air. Let's just say that inhaling those are probably not part of a healthy lifestyle. Number two, environmental impact. Clogged waterways. Ho Chi Minh and Hanoi are known for their occasional floods, and plastic clogged drainage doesn't help. If you haven't experienced a knee-deep flood in the city, it's like wading through murky waters with a soup of plastic and floating styrofoam. Marine pollution. It's estimated that between 280,000 and 730,000 tons of plastic enters Vietnam's oceans every single year. Anywhere from single-use spoons to helmets. Hey, plastic is plastic. Sometimes the sea turtles and the fish will mistaken the plastic for food, and that is a recipe for disaster. Number three, economic costs. Tourists flock to the beautiful beaches and vistas, but if the shoreline looks like a plastic graveyard, that's going to impact the tourism industry. Cleanup expenses. The government spends up to $1.1 billion a year for cleanup and waste management fees. That's a lot of cash that can be used to build better roads, schools, and maybe even a more advanced coffee-to-go system that doesn't rely on plastics. So if you are like me and you do not enjoy swimming in trash, then this is an issue you need to care about. What if we just recycle everything? Great idea, in theory. But in practice, only 10 to 15% of the waste in Vietnam is recycled, compared to 30% in the EU. So why is this number so low? Number one, informal sector dominance. Vietnam's recycling game relies heavily on informal waste pickers. They roam the streets to collect plastic and sell them for a few dong. These folks do vital work, but they just can't handle the sheer volume of waste alone. And it's dangerous and lacks regulation. Number two, lack of segregation and infrastructure. Most households do not separate the organic waste from the others. Thus, it comes in one big smelly bag. By the time it reaches a waste dump field site, the plastic is too dirty or contaminated to recycle effectively. Number three, thermal recycling pollution. Incinerating plastics can lead to other pollutants such as CO2 and dioxins, unless the facility is top-notch and well-regulated. And let's be honest, how many top-notch incinerators do you think Vietnam has lying around? So is recycling the cure-all? Not exactly. It's like a band-aid on a broken arm. Vietnam needs to rethink about how much plastic it uses in the first place. Now, let's give credit where credit is due. The government is not sitting around twiddling its thumbs. It has come up with a national action plan from 2021 to 2030 to eliminate marine plastics by 75%. Also, it has plans to eliminate single-use plastics by 2030. Yes, you heard it right. Single-use plastics could be on its way out. They are also partnering with global organizations like the World Bank and the United Nations Development Program to set up innovation hubs in order to come up with plastic alternatives. This is exciting stuff if it moves from paper to real life. because enforcement is a whole different story. In many places, the policies are just guidelines rather than hard rules because the fines are really small, rarely enforced, and very easy to dodge. It's a step in the right direction, but let's face it, a policy is only as good as its follow-through. With the scale of Vietnam's pollution problems, half measures just won't cut it. Before you bury yourself in a mound of plastic bags, take a deep breath. Because it's not all doomed yet. This plastic nightmare is a golden opportunity if you're looking to make a difference, as there's a massive opportunity right now. Number one, policy, stricter regulations and EPR, extended producer liability, means that companies have to take responsibility for the waste that they generate. If Vietnam fully enforces EPR, this will force companies to redesign packaging, invest in recycling, or use greener materials. Number two, alternatives. The rise of biodegradables, bamboo straws, bagasse bowls, and lotus leaves. These are not just Instagram friendly, they are planet friendly. But the problem is, they are pricier. If more companies jump on the bandwagon, then this can achieve economies of scale and make these products cheaper. And this is where foreign companies with eco-friendly technology and large-scale production capabilities will thrive. Number three, circular economy, investing in technology. High-tech recycling plants, advanced waste-to-energy solutions, and plastic credit trading systems. This is the frontier markets for sustainable innovation. Vietnam's push for modernization means investors with green tech can find receptive environments if they play their cards right. Hey, you might be thinking, I've got this eco-friendly startup or this advanced waste management system that will solve a lot of the problems. Can I bring it to Vietnam? Absolutely, but do not jump in blind. Setting up shop here means navigating legal red tape, local partnerships, and potential cultural hurdles. And that's where we come in. Our law firm specializes in foreign direct investment services. We handle your company registration, taxes, licenses, and compliance. All the things that you don't want to think about while you're trying to save the planet. Because trust me, trying to understand Vietnam's legal system on your own is like sorting plastic from garbage in a pitch black room. Frustrating and likely to leave a mess. Oh, and on a side note, 80% of you are not subscribed to our channel. You know that single plastic use is bad, but yet you still hoard a bunch of plastic straws. You watch, you enjoy, but you don't commit. Come on, hit that subscribe button and help us grow this channel. Who knows, maybe your subscription will save a few plastic straws in the cosmic sense. Probably not, but for sure, it'll help us make more content. Go ahead, hit that big red subscribe button. I'll wait. So is Vietnam doomed to be swamped in plastic forever? Not necessarily. It's a critical point in the nation's development. Awareness is growing and laws are being drafted. It's not going to be easy. Cultural norms change slowly, infrastructure upgrades cost money, and let's be honest, plastic is still the king of convenience. So there's one thing that Vietnam excels at, and it's transforming quickly. We've seen how fast the country can pivot with the rise of technology and smartphone adoption, for example. So maybe we'll look back a decade later and wonder why we had to plastic wrap that single banana. The question is, will we move fast enough? Before you go, ask yourself, what is the weirdest plastic wrap item you've seen? Comment below and let us know, because I'm pretty sure I can't beat a single egg wrapped in plastic. If we want Vietnam, like the rest of the world, to use less plastic, we need to do our part. Consumers, businesses, governments, and especially you, the person that is not subscribed yet. Just saying. So if you are inspired to make a difference or have a brilliant green tech idea you want to bring to Vietnam, drop us a line. We can guide you on the legal side of things. But if you just want more over-the-top rants about plastic, the environment, or what's happening in Vietnam, then just keep watching and sharing. Until next time.